Jenks, is there a category in the Oscars for the most disgusting movies?
No, but there bloody should be.
Today, we're going to be talking about some more disgusting movies. So, we've got another 5 picks for you for some pure debauchery.
Yeah, and you're saying that now, but my first one is quite a mild one. And I was even going to tell you to do your one first, in case.
Just to get people hyped.
Yeah, but because the order we usually do is me. Doesn't matter. My first pick, it came out 2019 and it's called Swallow. It is disgusting, not quite like brain dead level disgusting, but the theme is disgusting and this kind of idea. Now, I did fancy this a while ago. You'd seen it before me. It stars Hayley Bennett, and she suffers from this like strange eating disorder condition called pica, I think it's pronounced, where people get off or like the thrill of swallowing inedible objects.
Like pins and stuff.
Yeah,
and
marbles pins. And mostly starts off with something simple in the movie. So she basically in a bit of a loveless marriage. She's come into like a rich person's life. So she's married a rich person. She's not like a money grabber, and she's just a very pretty woman. And she feels quite low in the marital status. He's very wealthy. He's got very influential parents. And she's very lonely and bored, and she develops a strange eating disorder. And it starts off pretty mild. She starts swallowing maybe a marble, or I think it's like an ornament, very small. And then she moves on, and they get bigger and sharper and horrifying. And she gets tested, and they see these sharp objects in her colon. And it's a strange movie because Hayley Bennett is absolutely beautiful, right? And she's so pristine and pitiful and amazing. But you're forgetting that every time she takes one of these things, she's got to shit it out and wash it.
Yeah.
You don't see any of that. You just see the swallowing. But you got to remember, well, that's what's happening. She's going into the toilet and taking it out of her shit. And if you see the film, she doesn't seem the type to see.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah. And I love that she's got a little baggie.
Yes.
She's got a little baggie with pins and tacks in it that she just nibbles at. Oh, it's horrible.
It is horrible.
Now, I wouldn't have particularly chosen this one. I would say it's more disturbing than disgusting, but it is a disgusting movie because of the subject matter, and it is one that will kind of turn your stomach at the thought of eating these things, at the thought of shitting these things back out.
Especially a pin, you know. Oh,
yeah. Sometimes I have poos that hurt. Do you know what I mean?
Stop eating paper clips.
Yeah. My first pick, Jenks, you're going to laugh at this one, right? I've got Slugs from 1988.
Right up your street.
But, Jenks, like Tremors, it's a purposeful B-movie.
Yeah.
Came out in 1988, and it is literally about mutated slugs. So you've got this small town, and people are mysteriously dying. We come to realise that they've been testing and putting chemicals down the sewers, and the slugs down the sewers have become mutated, and they've become carnivorous.
Yeah, carnivorous.
Carnivorous. And they've got a taste for human flesh. So out of the sewers they come and into people's houses. I've got to say, right, this is one I go back to loads. It is such a fun movie. It's tongue-in-cheek, it's cheesy, it's over the top. But it does also have some of the best and most disgusting ghost scenes you'll ever see. There's not much more plot to say than that, guys. Jenks did a great job saying the plot of Swallow.
There's nothing to it.
There's nothing to this one. But honestly, guys, if you like B-movies, if you like gore, it's so well done. It's a bit corny, but it's played perfectly. But there's a few scenes in this movie, right, that make it an absolute standout in the 80s for me. Have you seen it, Jenks?
No, but I was going to ask you, would I enjoy it?
Yes, yeah, you would.
Oh, well.
Because it's a silly B movie, and I know you like Tremors. I know you like movies that are purposefully B movies.
Yeah.
But there's literally a scene, right, where you've got an old man in a greenhouse. The slugs have overtaken his greenhouse, and one of them has climbed into his glove, right? he puts his glove on and the slug bites his finger. And it's one of the best performances ever, right? The excruciating pain he goes through, right? Over the top, yeah, he's wailing about and whacking things down as things falling over and smashing.
Yeah.
But Jenks, he chops his hand off with an axe.
What, just because he got bitten on his finger?
He can't get the glove off. It's completely welded to his hand at this point because there's slugs in there. And but you know the effect, right, of him chopping his hand off is outstanding. It's so well made. But the worst scene in the whole movie, right, is there's a guy, he's out to dinner at a restaurant and he's got parasites in him. And there's something that's always killed me, the thought of something living inside you. He starts to get a nosebleed and it's dripping and dripping and flowing through, and then his head explodes, right? And he's just got thousands of parasites that just fly out of his head. Some of the most impressive practical effects you'll ever see. You've got a couple laying in bed having sex. She falls onto the floor's covered in slugs. It is just horrible and skin crawling.
So I know you got a bit of a phobia of like leeches and things like that.
Yeah.
So was this like worse because of your fear?
100%. Like you with spider movies.
Yeah.
This one absolutely kills me. I genuinely winced the whole movie, but because I'm a horror fan, I enjoy being scared. So if I can find a movie that I've got a mild phobia of, I'm all for it. Slither's another one that gets under my skin. David Cronenberg's Shivers.
Yeah.
Shivers. All those movies are horrific, but this one peaks for me. It's so well made. The slugs are fantastic, and it's got some of the best ghost scenes ever.
So I might catch it.
Jenks, I'll tell you what, next time you're up, we'll watch it together.
If you say I'm going to enjoy it, I will enjoy it, because you're pretty quick to say, like, yeah, Jenks, you're going to fucking hate this film.
No, I think you'll have fun with it.
All right, okay. Right, my next pick, okay. I'm not doing very well in this one. This is a really mainstream pick, okay. But look, this film came out 1973, and it's The Exorcist. Now, it's very... I know, I'm not trying to work in Exorcist to every list we do. I just was thinking, like, look, there's loads of gory films, and we did a few in the last video, but Exorcist covers so many things. You got the horror element, you got the shocking, you got the disturbing, you got the great practical effects, but people forget how disgusting this movie is. So you've got the first scene, one of the first scenes where she pisses herself, and that's pretty mild. And you've got the horrifying scene where the crucifix scene. Now, when I edit this video, okay, I am not going to put that scene in. So when you're watching this back, people, I haven't forgotten to put it in. It's just, we will get flagged up for YouTube for 100%.
You will be demonetized.
100%, because I was watching the clip earlier, seeing if I could sort of like maybe work it into our video, because it's the scene I'm on about. It's not because it's not a gross film in general. There's gross moments, but the scene is so graphic when she's doing the thing with the crucifix, like. But you think like Terrifier wouldn't even do that. Art the Clown, that is like beyond even what he would do.
Well, you've got the Glastonbury scene. Come on,
yeah. But this is a child. This is a child, a sweet little child. The Glastonbury thing, or whatever how you pronounce it, with the witch woman in a third.
Yeah. No, I completely forgot how old Regan is. Of course,
she is. I can't remember how old she is she's 14 when it came out. When she was actually in it, I think she's meant to be younger than that. I've drawn a blank now. Anyway, she's young. I think she's meant to be younger than 14. But apparently, Linda Hamilton. Then nobody wants to see her with a crucifix, with the muscles,
with the T2 muscles.
It's what was I saying? Oh yeah, so Linda.
Should we just start the whole video from the start, Jenks?
Linda Blair apparently said that at the time of filming, she was so young, she didn't know what she was doing. She thought she was just stabbing herself with a crucifix. She didn't understand the sexual sort of implications of it. And it is so brutal. Like, if there's a grown-up doing it, it would just be, oh, it's horrible. But she's a child, and it's the opposite. And that apparently as well, that scene is the director put that in specifically because he needed a real reason for the mother to go to a priest. He thought, what would it take for a normal, rational mother to go to a priest? And it was that scene, that moment of
makes
like,
sense.
oh, you know what? Fuck this. This is mental. And then, sorry, one more thing. And then we're forgetting they might have invented the gross scene, and it's the pea soup in the face of the priest.
Pea soup, I love that. Yeah.
Pea soup. We don't even know if it's pea soup.
Extra green.
Extra green.
Greener than the Green Giant.
So, and I think the pea soup projectile vomiting has gone down in history as one of the most grossest, most disgusting scenes in history. And yes, it might be mild to today's standards, but back then it was the sort of trailblazer of gross.
Yes, 100%. No, like you can pick Exorcist and say it's an easy pick, but there are some genuinely disgusting scenes in that movie. If you look at it in another context, as far as disgusting goes, it belongs on the list.
Yeah.
But like myself, a true horror fan, I've really dug deep for my choices and found some really underground horror movies. My next one may be underground to everybody, but it is one of the most iconic directors of all time. I've got Lucio Fulci's 1980 City of the Living Dead. Now, this is part of the Gates of Hell trilogy, loosely connected about opening the Gates of Hell. This was the first one all the way back in 1980. This is as disgusting as it comes. It was part of the Vipco Vault of Horror, the banned in loads of countries, and it is as disgusting as you think it might be. It's horrible, but it's also a great horror movie. It's surreal, it's scary, and in parts, genuinely terrifying. I watched it again a couple of nights ago, and it still gives me chills. It opens with this woman. She gets a premonition of this priest that hangs himself, right? And because of this, he's basically opened up the gates of hell. And you've got this small town who are now slowly being overrun by the dead. I wouldn't call it a zombie movie because it technically is a zombie movie, but it's not a George Romero zombie movie. We've got swarms of zombies. It's just small segregated incidents. It has got some of the most horrible scenes ever. And for some reason, the Italians, the gore that they used was pink more than red. And the stuff that they used to achieve the gore just looks worse. Somehow it looks less real, but it looks worse.
Is it pink? Is it pink because of censorship?
Maybe so, right? Maybe so. I don't know for sure, but there's one scene, right, Jenks, where this priest keeps showing up unannounced, and he always shows up and he's hanging from his noose, and it's so well done. But there's a bit where you've got this young couple sitting in the back of their van, and the priest shows up and he basically hypnotizes this girl, and you get this face off where it's going between the priest and her, and her eyes start to bleed, right?
Yeah.
And it's done so well. I know I keep saying that, but I'm so impressed by this movie. And then, right, she starts poking out her innards, right? So her intestines, her spleen, everything, right? And Jenks, it's like a 4-minute scene where she's just mouth open, eyes bleeding, and she is literally poking out intestines.
1980 as well. That's impressive.
That is one of many disgusting scenes in this movie. There's another one as well, which is one of the most impressive practical effects you'll ever see. And you've got this town weirdo, right? Everyone thinks there's a thing about him taking this young girl into the woods, but he's quite simple-minded.
Yeah.
But the older townsfolk, they don't like him, and he's kind of an outcast. He lives in this garage type, but in all fairness, he does have loads of photos of naked women tacked all over his wall. One of the fathers of the girls he took into the woods, he finds him with her again, right? And he's in this man's garage. He's got this bench press with a drill on it, and he doesn't second guess anything. He's like, you're gonna die. There's no way in hell you're walking out of your life. And he literally grabs the guy, right? The drill's already on, and he drags his head into the drill bit. The drill bit's thick, right?
Yeah.
And do you know when the drill makes impact with his head, they don't cut. There's no cut there to a practical head. It's his head. He's screaming. He's got a drill going into his head. And that's when they start to cut it cleverly because it comes out the other side. But I'm telling you, Jenks, you won't like this movie. It's not up your street. But you need to watch that clip on YouTube, because going back to 1980, before you had these big movies like The Thing and American Werewolf in London. No, American Werewolf in London was before 1980, was it? 1970?
No, 1980 came out.
Oh, well, there we are then.
Or 1981.
But you've got some of the most impressive practical effects. Lucio Fulci is known as the godfather of gore.
Is it just like one of those like hats you wear with an arrow coming through?
Yeah.
You like,
You can see the hat.
oh, I'm impressed.
And do you know what, right? There's another bit where someone gets buried alive. Or at least she was definitely dead, but she's been kind of reincarnated. And she's screaming. She's buried alive. She's screaming. And she starts clawing at the grave, right? And you can see the blood coming from her fingers. That alone is one of the biggest fears, James, being buried alive. Buzzing. It's horrific. It's such a horrible scene. It goes on for about 5 minutes. But yes, City of the Living Dead.
Would I enjoy it?
No. It's a schlocky 80s Italian movie.
Yeah.
I really don't think the Italian movies are for you.
Yeah, you sold it really well just now, but I think but the speed you said I wouldn't like it was clearly like, that's the truth.
It's too classy, Jack. I think it's too classy.
Right, our last pick is a shared pick. We always do this only because it's nice and neat to have 5, 6, some shit, isn't it? Or 3.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we picked Possessor. Now, there are a lot of grosser films, but we both love this film, so we picked this. This is not the grossest in the list. It's just the one we share. And it came out 2020. It's a shame a lot of films got lost in 2020 because of COVID. And this was a belter. You can get it on, I think it's on Shudder.
Yes,
and it's directed by none other than Brandon Cronenberg. And it stars Andrea Riseborough, I think you pronounce her name.
Yeah.
And Sean Bean and Christopher Abbott, who was in Wolfman.
Abbott.
So do you wanna say the plot?
Yeah, so she works for this I want to say company where they're basically hitmen, but they have this machine where they can possess the bodies of other people to conduct their murders. So they go into someone's body, they kill someone, and then they kill themselves. A little bit selfish, to be honest. You're going to kill 2 people, do you know what I mean, just to kill one. Just hire a good hitman that can go in and get out and kill them. But anyway, you come to Christopher Abbott then. He's got basically a bit of a shit life. He works in this factory. I don't really know what he does, Jenks. He just looks at things. They wear this device and they just I don't even know, they look at things. That's it, like. And
he's married, or he's seeing Sean Bean's girlfriend, daughter, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But he's miserable in this job anyway. She possesses his body to conduct a murder. And he kind of becomes aware that his body's possessed, and she kind of gets stuck inside him. And then the whole film, they're kind of merging. There's loads of scenes where they're kind of merging, but she's struggling to take over his body, and he kind of won't let her. Yeah. And it's just the whole film then is just from his point of view, really.
It's and there's one scene in particular, because it's a strange thing, because if you go on Shudder, it's just it says uncut version. There's this fantasy version of it that's not cut. That is cut. Yeah. And you're like, well, what's the point of saying uncut when the only version you could see is uncut all the time? And there's a scene, I don't even think we can put it on this clip because it's the Sean Bean scene. With a fire poker. And the eyeball. It is one of the most gruesome scenes ever because it's modern. So obviously things are very advanced now. They've got some horrible scenes in old films, but this feels real. Sean Bean's reaction to the pain he's going through is real. Yeah. And it was so gruesome because I watched it. I was like, oh my God, that's horrendous. And I stuck it on for my mate. I forwarded the film. I said, you got to see the scene. He's like, fucking hell. And it goes on, and they don't let up. It just gets getting worse and worse and worse. And it's horrifying.
Yeah, there's so many. I wouldn't say this one is body horror in the sense of his father's films. It's gruesome body horror, so there's no like morphing or anything, although there's a little bit of it.
Yeah.
But Brandon Cronenberg is such a talented director. He will be compared to his father, and he seems like a chip off the old block. He's directing movies I feel like his father could have just directed.
Oh, 100%.
And I gotta say, quality-wise, I'd say Possessor is his best film by far. Infinity Pool was a little bit hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
I struggled a bit more with that one, but Possessor, his old man could have directed that.
Yeah,
all day. It's so classy, it's so well made. Like David Cronenberg as well, the gore isn't overused, but when it is used, it's used perfectly. You've got that scene, Jenks, towards the end with the shotguns and you just got the heads exploding.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Now, that is so effective because you got that build up to it. It's not it's not constant go after go. But when these surreal gore scenes happen, oh my God, they hit so hard.
Yeah, and I would say if you haven't seen it and you're unsure about it, if you're a big fan of Black Mirror, this is like a 90-minute episode of Black Mirror with mega go in it. I think that's probably the best way to describe it because sci-fi horror, but futuristic. That's not that far ahead.
Maybe some people watching this may not have seen this one. Highly recommended, especially if you're a fan of David Cronenberg's work.
Yeah, definitely.
And now Brandon Cronenberg, he's got a few films under his belt now.
Chip
he's
off
doing
the
great.
old block. Right, guys, if you love horror, if you love ranking, please subscribe and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.